Hello, this is Darren.
And this is Paige.
And this is
Where's the Lemonade?
Where we talk about what happens when life throws you lemons.
Make some lemonade?
Maybe. Some weeks it's lemon squares.
Yeah, some weeks it's just lemons.
Yeah.
On today's episode,
We're going to talk about triggers and how to avoid them.
or not to avoid them.
One thing we learned really on in our marriage was to identify triggers that we have from our previous relationships.
Yeah, and a lot of them you don't even know that you have until all of a sudden you're irrationally upset about something that your current spouse has never done or deserved.
Or doesn't even understand.
And so, yeah, it's kind of a wait and see thing. It's not like you can just sit down and go, okay, here's a list of my triggers.
No, that's very true. But you know what? Our marriage counselor helped us work through that, identifying triggers and even uncovering some.
First, you know what? We need to say what triggers are.
Oh, go
right?
for it.
We're kind of jumping right into the pool. We need to wade in a little bit. So it's basically something from your past. You know, for us, it's from our previous relationship. But for some people, it can also be from a childhood, trauma, or it's just something painful that happened in your past. Or
I remember when we read a couple articles about this, and you said, "Oh, childhood trauma." You were like, "Oh." I
guess I just don't like when people blame everything on their childhood.
I agree with you there.
I'm just, and I know, and I'm not trying to belittle traumatic things that happen in your childhood that could definitely cause, triggers. But I would say for the most of us, that's not the case. And so we need to take responsibility for our adult actions is what I'm saying.
Well, and that would probably be very true for our previous relationships too. We've got to learn how to overcome our triggers.
Right.
Which are these irrational, emotional, it's almost like someone firing a gun. It happens just like that.
Yes, it's an irrational reaction to something from our past. Is that a good way to explain it?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah, because our current person that we're with hasn't done anything to deserve the irrational response they're getting from us, right?
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, what a trigger is. It's triggering something from our past that we go, whoa, and we, get our back up and go, wait a second, when that's not fair.
Exactly. Well, and it kind of reminds me of that psychology experiment with Pavlov's dogs, right? They rang a bell and fed these dogs for months and months and months. So every time that they ring a bell in the future, the dogs would start salivating, getting ready for something. So a trigger is kind of like that. In our previous relationships, we read the situation, we saw the situation come, and then the results came after. So we were conditioned to experience the same thing over again.
Right, and I think in our first relationships, we didn't really even understand or acknowledge that was...
No, it was a defense mechanism,
yeah,
right?
And I don't think that we even quite understood really what was going on. That was just our life, right? And until you get into another relationship, or maybe in your first marriage, if you're trying to move past, that kind of destructive behavior,
those triggers are there.
The triggers are there, and you have to try and recognize them and move past them. So, like I said, you can't just sit down and go, here's all my triggers, don't set them off, right? That would have been nice.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Yeah, avoid these, or if you really want to set your spouse off, you can, pull one of those triggers.
Yes, if you really want Darren to clean the whole house.
Yes, that's what I do when I'm upset.
Then I can do this. Yeah, that would have been nice.
I know Paige used that a couple times. So some of the triggers, well, another thing that we found out was the biggest emotion that you have when you're triggered is probably fear.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, because your body's saying, I've experienced this before, I recognize this, I know what's coming, and you're afraid.
Exactly. Now, one of the articles that we read, it had a, what's it called?
Acronym.
Yeah, for fear. So it said false evidence appearing real.
I love that.
I do too, because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's yeah, you completely misread the whole
Right.
environment.
You're jumping to so many conclusions.
Well, your conclusions are based off of your history.
Exactly. So it's just, yeah. So anyway, so
I guess that might be part of forgiveness. Think about that.
interesting. I didn't think of it that way. So as you forgive even your
X.
ex, then maybe these triggers will start to go away.
Yeah.
Or if you're in a first relationship, if you're forgiving your spouse, then well, you just have to get out of these patterns. Yes,
Yeah.
you have to get out of the patterns.
But if your spouse is trying to repent and improve, which we all should be doing,
right.
then if you truly are forgiving, then you would figure out a way to get rid of that trigger.
Yeah, which I think it's hard, especially when it's been
Yeah.
so many years.
That could be very
But-
hard.
So, what was a trigger from me to you? What is something that triggered you when we first got married?
Oh, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. Do you?
Yes.
It's just like, I don't know. What is it? Oh, transparency was a big deal for me. So,
Yes, transparency was big. Like if I was on my phone in the middle of the night, or
oh yeah, that would freak me out.
yeah, you needed transparency in every way. And,
Yeah. What are you doing?
right. And I'm like,
None of your business.
no,
You
I
never said
I
that.
never
Which
said that.
if you were to say that, that would be bad.
right, because I also knew that was going to be. We'd already talked about how that
That was a
something
trigger
you
that
needed.
I recognized. From.
Right. Yes. So no, I never said none of your business. I was like plain word bubble.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then sometimes, like you said earlier, we don't know what our triggers really are. They could be something that someone says, a facial expression, a smell, a sound,
Yes.
a
Absolutely.
lack of sound, which
Yep.
was the big one for me. You go quiet,
Well, I liked.
and
I
that
think,
was a trigger because I'm
think-
like, oh no, what's going on?
I think I've said this in previous podcasts that I like to think about what I'm going to say when we're in an argument.
me crazy.
Yes. So I like to back off and I want to think. I don't want to say anything that I will regret later. And you want to kind of hash it all out right there in that moment.
Right, I do.
And I don't think that that's always the right thing to do.
No, I agree. I agree.
So I like to take a step back. I like to think and revisit it. And it's not that long. I like
It seems like years, but
yes,
it's
might be like
maybe an hour.
An hour, but I like you to calm down. I like me to calm down because then I think we're both more receptive to what we're about to say. But that is a trigger for you. When I get quiet, you're going, what are you thinking? What's going on? What are you doing?
Exactly.
And I'm like, I just need to think.
And that's that fear, right?
Yes.
The false evidence of appearing real. I feel like you're distancing yourself,
Right.
but that's not the case.
That's not the case. And something that triggers me, if you are vague, and if I ask you a question and you're vague in your answer, I am like, why are you being vague? What? Tell me. I need to know 100% exactly.
You want every detail on everything.
I do not like vagueness. That sets me off. I need the truth. 100%.
And that's really hard when you're trying to surprise your spouse. Like I was in Washington, D.C. I'm there a lot lately, and I flew home early. And I called Paige from the car on my way home from the airport.
This airport.
Yes. And normally when I'm on my way home, headed to the airport to fly from D.C. home, I call her and say, I'm on my way home.
Right.
Or I text.
Right.
Right. And this time I said, I'm on my way home. And then 10 minutes later, I walked in the house.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You said that was awesome, but I also think that was a little,
No, I liked it.
you liked it. Okay, good.
I liked it.
I'll
I
do
did.
that then.
I liked it. I liked the surprise. But I see what you're saying that yes,
Because I was vague.
you were. But I thought you were being your normal, because you usually say on my way home. So I thought you were on the way to the airport
From
in
DC.
DC.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, so we were actually on the phone together that whole time. And I'm on the phone with you. I'm thinking you're driving to the airport in DC.
Right.
And all of a sudden the door opens and I'm thinking, I wonder who that is.
You didn't wonder why you hadn't heard from me in 5 hours? I guess you thought I was in meetings.
You said you were in meetings.
Yeah, that's true.
You said you're in meetings. So, and a lot of these meetings, you cannot have any technology.
No, I can't have technology.
So no, I didn't think anything of it. So yeah, and then all of a sudden you walked in and I was like, oh, no, that was fun. That was fun.
So some common fears that people have with triggers are what? What would you say?
Some common fears?
Yeah.
Feeling like you're not enough. You're not enough for,
Obviously you are, otherwise you wouldn't be married. But so that's irrational.
Exactly. But, in certain relationships, over time, you start to feel like you're not enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that.
So,
or not feeling misunderstood or overly criticized, all those things.
Yes.
Happen.
Feeling disrespected or criticized. Right?
Yeah.
I think those are. Well, and so if you do have that trigger in your new relationship, you are looking for it. You're looking for you're reading between the lines and you're reading all the wrong things in between the lines.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you and your spouse should be trying to help each other out and be the best that you can.
Right.
Right. And if you're not doing that, shame on you. You should be.
Right.
So
yes, you need to look at yourself. If you feel like you're not doing that for your spouse, that's you need to be more self-aware. And I mean, we all have our moments. Believe me, we all have our moments.
Oh, absolutely.
But we need to be self-aware. And I think that's actually something we're both pretty good at, being self-aware. I'm very self-aware. Like if I'm mean to you, I know I'm being like I in my head I'm going, why did I just say that mean thing to him? Like I'm very self-aware.
And then I think, why is she being so mean to me?
Right. So I am not one of those people that is like, why did you take offense to that? I know exactly what I said and why it caused offense. Like I'm very, very self-aware. And I think you are a little bit later. You're very self-aware.
Yeah, later.
Yes.
In the moment, sometimes I forget.
Right. But later, you're perfect.
Oh, thank you. I'm always later. I'm perfect, not now. Okay, so you're gonna get triggered.
Yes, you are.
It's just how we're built.
Yes, it's just a matter of time. So, as we just talked about it, our minds go to an irrational place. It's irrational for our current situation, right?
Yes.
It might not have been irrational in our previous situation, but in our current situation, it's irrational. And we have to accept that and acknowledge that this is irrational and you don't deserve this. That's the thing is you don't, right?
Right, exactly. So you have to remember that not all situations are the same. And we're going to have a lot of, we're going to be flooded with emotions.
Insecurity.
Yep.
Insecurity is huge in a new relationship. And yeah, insecurity, fear, doubt, anger.
And what you'll notice is triggers happen instantaneously.
Oh, in a snap of a finger, there it is. It's all back. It's all right there.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
I never thought of it as scary, but you're right. It is scary.
It is. It's scary. It's like, oh no, are we doing this again? Right? Is this what's happening again? And it's scary.
Yeah. So what are your normal reactions when you're triggered? Since it's kind of overwhelming and it's hitting you all at once. What normally happens? What would you say?
What normally happens when you're triggered? Or what should happen when you're triggered?
No, what normally happens when you're triggered.
You say the wrong thing.
I'm good at that. See, you're better
Congratulations, honey.
Yeah, I know, I'm good at something. You're a lot better at take a deep breath. I'm not. My mouth just goes, I got to fix this. I'm going to talk it through.
Yes, that is true. I think you're getting better. I think that over the years when you've seen me take a step back and the step back isn't a negative thing.
Yeah.
It's let's take a breath.
Yeah, it's not passive aggressive.
It is not passive aggressive. It's let's take a minute.
All right, let's think about it. Yeah.
Let's take a minute.
But that's hard.
It can be for some people.
It's hard for most people. We're not all saints like you, baby.
I know. So in my situation, getting triggered, I get quiet all of a sudden because I sit there, everything, my mind is going, la 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 la, this is all happening, right?
Yep.
So it's like, oh no, oh no, oh no. But inside I'm freaking out, completely. So
That's unhealthy.
I know.
If you don't talk about it later.
No, yeah. We always talk about it later.
But if you internalize it, right, and then you're holding all that in, you don't talk about it.
That's called stomach ache.
Yeah, it's bad. But it's also bad just to blurt everything out.
Yes.
Yes. Your trigger is going to trigger history.
Right.
Leave the history behind. That's tough.
So yeah, so when we're triggered, you're going to say the wrong thing. Your mind's going to wander to all these wrong conclusions. That's what's going to happen.
All right, so let's talk about what we can do to help us get through a trigger.
Okay. So I like that we've talked about this last night. You need to recognize that
you're triggered.
Yep. You just triggered me. And it's not you. You're not.
Well, something just triggered me.
Right.
Maybe that's better to say than you triggered me.
Something just triggered me. And yeah. So the first step, I feel like we've got a 3-step program, but
no, there's 5 steps. It's not 12.
Well, okay, so yeah, hang in there with us, people.
Yeah,
it's not 12.
There. It's not 12. So the first is recognizing that you are triggered.
Yes, and that can be saying me to you. That what you just did.
I'm triggered.
Yes, I'm triggered. That smell, that sound, what you just did, that song. It can be anything like that.
Oh, it could be a song. You're right.
Could be a song.
Yeah.
So, saying, you know what,
well, that's the second step is then to verbalize, I'm triggered.
Yes.
To the people that you're around.
Right. I'm triggered.
Which means, okay, watch out. Because everything's emotionally, all over the place.
I'm going to go to the store real quick. And
I'm going to go clean the closet.
So telling your spouse you've been triggered, right?
Right, and then calm down, try and think rationally. Spend some time to realize where you currently are. You're not in the past. You are in a current situation.
Right, and we talked about that. Hi, Darren. It's me. It's Paige, right?
That's the next section.
Oh, gosh, I'm jumping ahead.
You're jumping ahead.
But it's so good. That's a really
we'll
good one.
We'll get there.
Okay. So
then you have to tell, once you're calmed down, then you have to tell your spouse what you think triggered you.
Oh, yeah. That's
Remember,
good.
we talked about it. Is it the perfume that you're wearing?
Right.
I got to get you new perfume. Is it the words that you said? More than likely it's words or facial expressions, like the rolling of the eyes or the scrunching of the face or whatever it is.
Or the vagueness or whatever
it is.
Whatever it is.
It's if you can help identify that trigger, that's key.
And your spouse needs to be super understanding and trying, instead of going, oh, that's so stupid that triggered you, right?
Yeah, we've had that discussion before.
Say that. That's not
That's
good.
Not helpful.
That's not healthy or helpful.
Yeah, you have to realize that your spouse has been conditioned for that trigger, just like Pavlov's dog. Ring the bell, salivate.
Right. So, yes, be understanding and say, oh, tell me more about this. Why did this trigger you? How... Right?
Right, and that's the 5th step, which is remember who you're talking to when you're talking about the trigger. It's someone that you love and care about.
And that cares about you.
And cares about you.
Yes.
Now, what if the trigger is justified?
What do you mean?
Well, we're conditioned to avoid pain and sorrow, right? So if we see something that we know this is coming and this trigger shows that there's going to be pain coming up ahead, that's important that we recognize those things, right? So what if someone keeps there's a warning sign of bad behavior? You can't just ignore those triggers.
No.
I mean, that's part of protection.
Right.
So...
I don't know. Do you have an answer for this? Because I don't. People, we've always told you we don't have all the answers.
No, we don't have an answer on this one. But, you have to listen to those triggers.
You have to listen to the warning signs.
The warning signs, right? We don't want people in a bad relationship and fostering that bad relationship by just saying, oh, I was triggered, but it's okay.
So not dismissing it completely. You have to understand where it's all coming from and what it's leading to in this current situation.
In that current situation. So, you have to listen to your triggers and then assess. Try and get as rational as you can quickly, and then assess: is this real or not?
I like that.
Yeah, that's tough.
That is tough.
All right, let's talk about how to help your spouse when they're triggered. Because you can make it really good or you can make it really bad.
Yes. So,
Because your spouse is vulnerable, they're in a highly emotional state.
well, first, if you know what triggers your spouse, we have 3 little words for you. Don't do it.
That is so mean. Could you imagine? I know what triggers my spouse: to get him to clean the whole house.
What?
What?
I don't know who would do that.
Yeah, that's pretty mean, though.
That would be mean. So don't do it. If you can be that self-aware and, realize this is what's going to trigger my spouse. If you really know this is going to trigger, don't do it.
Yeah,
Don't do it.
Yeah, that's just manipulation.
That's not a healthy relationship.
No, it's
so
not.
if you know in advance this is going to set them off, don't do it.
Well, all right. So, and then also when they're triggered, you have to stay emotionally calm.
Yes,
That's key.
that is key.
If you get emotionally charged up with them, that's not good.
Right.
Then you have 2 emotionally charged people yelling at each other.
Right. That's never good, and that's no one's going to be listening at that point. Okay, so talk to them rationally.
But you can't patronize them.
No, I hate that.
I know you hate that when you're charged and I'm like, okay, honey, let's talk about our feelings.
So this is what I'm hearing you. I'm like, don't. I always say, don't therapize me. That's a new word I just came up with.
Therapize you, great.
Therapize. Do you like it?
Yeah. And do you say, you're triggered? I don't know. Do you say that? Do you point out something triggered you?
You can, but not like that. You can say, wait a minute, after everyone's calmed down, you can say, okay, so I think...
No, I'm talking right away. When they're
right
triggered,
away?
what do you say?
To your spouse?
Yeah.
Well, what I say to you is, let's calm down.
Yeah,
and
it's patronizing.
we're going to talk about this in a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what we say.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this in a little bit. Maybe not even say calm down. I know
you do.
I hate to be told to calm down. Or if another adult shushes me, I swear I just want to smack him in the face. Do not shush me. I'm an adult. Anyway.
Should learn
that's
to be.
a whole other.
Yeah, we'll talk about how to accept criticism.
Paige's
in
pet
another
peeves.
episode.
Remember the kids? We could do a whole episode on Paige's pet peeves.
Yes, we could.
Holy cow! The kids have all of them
Or
written
how
down.
to take criticism. That would be an interesting episode.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway,
So let's go back. When your spouse is triggered, the best thing to do is not get triggered yourself. Stay calm. Try and show them calmness without patronizing them.
yes.
And then when they're calmed down, talk to them rationally and say, all right, what happened? What triggered you?
Yes, absolutely. And you can't have that conversation until they're calmed down.
No, you can't.
You can't. And then after you've had that conversation, or maybe even before that, you can remind them, and I've said this to you before. Hi, Darren.
It's
I'm
me.
Paige. It's me.
Yeah.
And sometimes that
snaps you right out of it.
snaps you right out of it. And you go, that's right. This is who I am. Remember who I am. Remember that I love you. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And yes, so sometimes you just have to say, hi, it's me.
And then spend some time talking about what triggered
Right.
them. And don't dismiss it. That's the
No.
worst thing you can do.
No.
It may sound silly.
It may sound very silly.
Yeah. It may be the way that the water went down the sink reminded me of something from my childhood that, who knows?
Right.
Right. You can't trivialize triggers on people.
Right.
They're
You
conditioned
cannot.
over years of experience.
Yes.
But you can talk about them.
This isn't something we said we were going to talk about, but I just thought of a trigger for me.
Oh, what's
That's
that?
from my childhood.
Oh, is it
Thanks
the
to
dog?
my mom.
Oh, your mom.
Mom,
oh,
I love you.
coughing.
Yes. I don't think I've ever even told my mom this. And I know my mom's going to listen to this. So one time my mom was really, really sick. Really, really, really sick. And she coughed for days, maybe even weeks. And
In a childhood brain, it may have only been hours, but
no, it
for
was
you,
it was at least a week. I swear, Mom, you can confirm or deny this, but I think it was at least a week. But I think she was sick for a couple weeks. coughing. In fact, I remember she slept on the couch because she didn't want to keep my dad up all night. Just nonstop coughing. And so now what happens when people cough around me?
Oh, yeah, it drives you crazy. I think, Paige, go to the other room.
I know. And it's funny because, like, the kids apologize. They're like, sorry, I coughed. Because I'm just like, it's almost like fingernails on a chalkboard.
Well, it reminds you of a sad time.
It does.
When your mom was sick.
It does. It reminds me of, I was scared. Scared that my mom was so sick and what's going to happen to her. And it really scared me.
So that's a great example of something that you can't really trivialize, right?
Right.
You recognizing that that's a trigger for you is important.
Right.
Right. And then us around it. So that goes on to kind of the last thing you could do to help your spouse, which is see what you can do to change the environment so that trigger isn't bothering them as much. So either changing words or...
Yeah, because some of these things are unavoidable, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Some things are unavoidable. So you're right. There might just be a slight change that needs to happen. Your tone of voice, your words, just a slight change that can avoid the trigger in the future.
Or, maybe that song that you really enjoyed in the 80s may drive your spouse crazy because it reminds them of a horrible breakup.
Right. Yeah. So we just have to be aware and, like you said, not dismiss it, not trivialize it.
Nope.
Because it's either hurtful or painful to your spouse.
Now, can you eventually get over your triggers?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And you can kind of look back and go, oh, isn't that funny? That used to trigger me and it doesn't anymore, right?
Anymore. Yeah.
So absolutely, we can always learn and grow, huh, honey?
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know. I'm getting pretty old.
Yep, you are.
So, old dog, new tricks. Okay, funny moment of the week this week is we always have these weird funny moments.
Yeah, some of them aren't that funny. But it's just almost like, not funny, haha, like funny.
Right, that would happen. So we had a family reunion. We have a family reunion every 2 years on my side of the family, where all my siblings and their kids and my parents are all there. And we had it in Bryan Head, Utah. Great place, elevation 10,000 feet. So we were all like sucking wind up there because it was so high in altitude. And 2 days into the family reunion, the power goes out.
And guess who noticed it first?
And Paige noticed it first.
I did, because Paige...
It happened at 2 a.m.
Paige was not sleeping that night. And I had 2 fans on. We stopped at Walmart and got me...
It wasn't that warm. It was just Paige needs the noise.
Yes, I need the noise. So we stopped at Walmart, bought me a fan, and then there was a ceiling fan. No, it wasn't warm at all. In fact, the highs were in the 60s.
It was 60s. Beautiful
it was perfect.
Place.
So I'm laying there at 2:19 a.m.
Yes.
on Saturday morning, and all of a sudden both my fans went, ooh.
And the first thing she does,
I woke
wake
you up.
Me up.
Yeah. I said, Darren.
The power's out.
I need my fans on.
I was like, okay.
That's exactly. He goes, so.
What
and
do
I'm
you
like,
want me to do about
Darren,
it?
I said, well, because I didn't want to tell you. I actually didn't want to say I need my fans on.
Yes, no, you said you made some excuse about the food in the refrigerator.
I said, the food, all the food. And he's like, it'll be fine. I'm like, dang it. So he went back to sleep.
For about 20 minutes when she woke me up again because I was snoring.
Well, I was trying to go to sleep. It was 3 a.m.
Well, yeah. So I was up the rest of the night.
You were not, because I woke you up again because you were snoring.
I know.
So you were not awake the rest of the night.
I tried to go back to sleep. So they said, hey, the power should be on at 8 a.m. in the morning. That was pushed to 3 p.m., which was pushed to noon the next day, which was now 3 or 4 days later.
Yes.
So it was interesting because we were supposed to cook the last day of the family reunion. The oven was an electric oven, but there were grills outside and gas stoves. So we did everything on the grill.
We did. And we were able to use the stove because it was gas. Now, there was no hot water, so people could not shower.
That was tough.
But toilets could be flushed. That was great. But
we were all kind of stinky at the end.
By the end of the night, because everyone was going to leave the next morning. By the end of Saturday night, your dad kind of said, listen, if people want to go. And for a lot of people, it just made sense to go ahead and go.
But for us, we stayed in the cabin until Sunday.
It didn't make any sense for us to leave because there was nowhere for us to go.
Well, there was. My parents could go, but it added like 2 hours.
Right. I'm just saying it didn't make sense for us. So we just stayed, and it was kind of fun. It was like camping.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when there's no electricity and no internet service. People actually start talking to each other.
I know. Our phones weren't working either, because we had T-Mobile and the T-Mobile wasn't working.
It was fun.
It was fun. I didn't think there was anything.
Yeah, people thought we were crazy for staying behind.
I know, and I was like, I think it's great.
I think we can survive without our phones.
It was like glamping.
Glamping. It was glamping.
We had beds and we had toilets.
It was a very nice cabin,
but there was no electricity. Yes, beautiful cabin. Thank you, Grandma and Grandpa.
Shout out to Grandpa.
Very, very nice time. If you like today's episode,
give us 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, Google.
And head to Facebook and like us.
And check out our blog at where'sthelemonade.org,
where you can leave questions and comments.
But most of all,
go out and make some lemonade.
You betcha, baby. On our next episode,
we're going to talk about open communication.
With your spouse, with your ex-spouse, and your kids.
Wide open, baby.